Good morning. So it's about 6:30 now. The sun just came up and I'm still deep in this. It's been a few days now. I think this is the going on the fourth day, third morning, fourth day of waking up in this. What I'm understanding is that I keep on going into this, but it keeps on getting into newer and newer and newer, deeper, deeper levels, is that you have to give up the story. You have to give up all of the stories that are in your mind and you come into a place of quiet because all of the pain is caused by those stories. And those stories are endless and they make no difference in any case. You keep on going, it's like these obsessive stories that keep on going around in circles. The what ifs, but it could be this, but maybe, but it's actually like this, and you get lost in those stories. The because there's so many different stories going on and so many different timelines and in different dimensions, right? There's the energetic dimension, and there's the story, the twin flame story, and that you're destined, and there's all these stories, and you start seeing all the you can see all the different playing fields, but in the physical playing field, which is where everything comes into everything condenses together, where everything comes into one point on this timeline right here. This is the now. Whatever is happening at this point right now, that is what is. And so all of the stories that you have are what is causing you pain. All of the stories that you have is what is keeping you away from living in the present moment, because you're trying to manipulate things according to these stories that aren't happening, or you are having pain in places that where if you look at me now, if somebody just looks at me without hearing what I'm saying, without knowing the stories, it's just a person standing in a kitchen. There is no story here. There is no pain here. And all of the pain that we're going through is in our conception and our perception of what is going on and I understand this is the hardest thing that there is to do, but you get to a point in this, and this is what I'm probably the main point of this, is that this happens on its own. You get so far into the mess of it. That's why I'm saying, and my route is going all the way into the mess of it, the very depths of it, because only at the very depths of it are you shot out the other side. Does it get to be so noisy and so unbearable and so out of whack? It's kind of like humanity gets so out of whack that something is going to come and shake up humanity and bring them into a new, that's what's happening now in these times. Is humanity got so far away from its nature and so far out of sync with Mother Nature, with the earth, with God, with the connection to the all, that they've completely disconnected. And then there has to be something that shakes because it's out of sync, it's out of harmony with everything. And that's what we're seeing now happening in humanity with all of everything that's going on globally. It's not even just the wars, it's everything that's going on globally with the plastic and the using animals and wrong usage of the land, and all of the things that we are doing that are around the demigod, which is money, which is a very low vibration. When you live for money and do things only for money, you are completely disregarding the higher the higher point, which is, when you're in harmony with the land, then providence will come. It doesn't have to come in ways of money. There's many, many, many different ways of abundance and providence to come to you. About abundance and providence is even abundance of information, of spiritual essence. There's so many different kinds of abundance in the world, and a need for all of those different kinds of abundances. But what the point is that I want to try to stick. I want to try to make at least a whole point. I know it goes off into all these different directions because that's how my mind works. Everything is connected to everything. And so my mind just goes zzz, 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 all over the place. Look, there's a little birdie there. I put water on the windowsill. I don't know if you can see it. It just flew off. I put water on the windowsill for the birds, and they come. So I get enjoyment out of it. So not only do they get water, I get enjoyment out of it. Um, that's part of being that sync when the two parts enjoy it. And so you get to a point on the twin flame journey and the spiritual awakening where there's nowhere to hide, there's nowhere to go. You kind of rise above the stories. You see that the stories don't matter anyway. It doesn't change anything. The stories that you have are just things that you're holding onto in your mind to make a better sense of it, to not deal with the loss, to not have to deal with what's really going on. And so you tell yourself these stories, and and I get it, because it's simply when you meet your twin flame, and it's simply unbelievable. It's it's the biggest thing that could ever happen to you in this lifetime, is all of a sudden you meet this counterpart and it's real, and nobody around you can understand it from your regular base. And then you start searching, what is this? What happened here? And then you find out about twin flames, and you still feel the need to like prove it. Not only prove it to your surroundings, but prove it to yourself, because what? Really? No way. What? But you know it's real. It's real. It's more real than anything else. My water boiled. It's more real than anything else. And it's undeniable. It's absolutely undeniable when you meet this other person, and everything in your world starts shaking and moving. And I get it. It is unbelievable that they don't want to be in that connection, that they don't feel the same. It's like incomprehensible, not unbelievable, incomprehensible. And it's so incomprehensible that you just don't believe it, and you fight up against it. And also the pain of it is so great that you have to tell yourself stories in order to cope. You can't you can't cope otherwise. It's just not real. It can't be. It's surreal. It just can't be. It's incomprehensible. And then you start making up all these different stories in your mind that hold you apart from what is really going on in this 3D level. It's holding you apart. It's giving you all sorts of reasons for it. It's giving you bypasses to the pain. It's okay. It's just like this right now. And then you bypass the pain with all these thoughts of future, of past, and it becomes these obsessive thoughts, because in order to hold the pain down, you have to continuously make up these stories in your mind, because otherwise it's just the pain starts rising again in the separation. And once you are able to quiet down all of the stories, right? All of the stories, even the twin flame story, all of the stories have to quiet down. And only then can you be in a place that is more true. Then you get into the now. Because when you go into the stories, there's already pain in the stories, because the stories, at some point, the stories aren't believable anymore. At some point, you come to a dead end in all of your stories. All of your stories lead to a dead end, and you're presented with the reality that you have to face. It's kind of like an alcoholic reaching rock bottom. There is no story that you can make up in your mind anymore that will give you any kind of comfort in it, that will take away the pain. And then you're stuck with having to go through the pain. This is on my own journey. I know that there's many different ways to get to different things, and different ones of us deal and cope with things differently. And I've also heard many times and tried on my own the bypassing, just switch the switch. But this is kind of like switching the switch. It's all acceptance. It's all surrender. It's like, okay, a story starts coming up. It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference. The stories don't make a difference. Even the stories that you tell yourself, you start going into all the little details of it, but then, and you start looking at it, and there's like horror in it, right? There's horror in your own actions. There's horror in having to accept this. A lot of us, our counterpart is in a different relationship, is all in a different relationship, and let you know that, and and you have to be able to cope with that, and you have to be able to let them go, and you can't let them go with, like, blocking them is the exact same thing as chasing after them. It's keeping that energy alive, keeping that power that they have on your life alive, because if you block them, then what happens when they're unblocked? Then you're in the same boat. You're still in that place where you have to get to a place where you're numb, where the stories come, they can come, and they go right through you. The stories don't make a difference because you are present in your life. And only then can we bring the power back into our lives, and we're not giving away our power to having to react to every little story that comes up, or having to react to every time they twitch their finger, or paying attention and, wait, did he mean that? Did he mean that? What's the difference? What's the difference? We're all being led back to the same place. This is our spiritual awakening. The spiritual awakening is coming into your own ease, coming into your own perfection, coming into knowing who you are, coming into that quiet place, that place of complete and total ease. So you have to give up the stories. This is something that just keeps on coming to me. And when I first said it a few days ago, I feel like where I am now in this, you have to give up the stories. When you give up the stories, you come into the now. There is no pain, because all of the pain is in that perception, is in that in those stories, in your expectations of how things should be, and then they're not exactly how you want them to be, and then you have the yearning, and then you have the aversion. That's what we learned in Vipassana when I went to Vipassana. You you cut out the cravings, and you cut out the aversions, and you just allow that whatever comes just comes, and you allow it to be, and you become the observer. You become the witness of your own life, instead of everything. It teaches you in the Vipassana. I did a video on Vipassana. I think I'm going to upload it, just because I was right after I came back from Vipassana. I talked about the experience, and I think that is, it's something that you have to be fresh out of Vipassana to be able to do. But the idea is no craving, no aversion. You allow whatever comes into your experience just to be, and you cut out those automatic reactions. So let's say if you're sitting in Vipassana and something is itching, you acknowledge that it's there, and you continue looking at wherever you're scanning. It's happening in the background. You're knowing it's there, you're aware of it, but you're not reacting to it. And then it teaches you also in life not to react, not to be in that automatic mode. And then when you start seeing that when situations start coming into your life that you would typically have a specific reaction to, these reactions, of course, are defense mechanisms where we are defending ourselves. Um, so instead of having those automatics, we just let them pass through, and we don't react to them. And then you're able to use your mind. You're able to wait and see what it means. A lot of times things don't mean anything. People are in their own void and reaction, and lashing out, or having a response to something because of something, how it touched them. And by you not responding to their response, it's also healing for them, because they get a, oh wait, that's not the reaction I was expecting. Let me look what I did. And it wakes them up in that place where they were on automatic pilot. So when you start coming off automatic pilot, that's that healing, that we are healing ourselves, and healing the world, and healing the planet, really. Because when you come into sync with everything around you, your environment is synced back in as well. Everything that comes in contact with you is syncing more and more into the synchronicities. Yeah, syncing more into um, harmony with all that is around it, with the universe, with God, with creation, with nature, with the all. It doesn't matter what you call it. The universe. It's so much bigger than the universe, but with creation. And remember, your world revolves around you. My world revolves around me. So whatever comes into, we can broaden our world to have more and more people in our world. So everybody who's watching this is also in my world and invited in my world. Thank you for being in my world. I, I'm in so much appreciation if you're with me and listening to me till now. Like, we're on the same vibe. So I appreciate it. So I'm still in the thick of this. I'm still going up and down. I opened a Patreon. I'm starting to upload videos there where I'm more in the actual processing of it, where I am actually speaking. I really have been able to separate that when I'm able to be above and to talk about the things from above, I'm speaking from my higher plane. But a lot of times when I'm really going through it, you have to go through it to go through it. You have to go into those constraints and bust them from the inside, right? So there's something like, um, I just got a message. It's so funny because I'm talking about this, and there is a channel, Journey to Union. I listen to her sometimes. I feel like I get something from the ones that I do listen to. She has a lot of insight, and she goes really deep into a lot of the spiritual levels. So I enjoy watching her, and I've been watching her since I think since it, since she was smaller, and she's grown, and I'm happy to see that. And I've also watched um, Kat from Sacred Soul Rising, which I would really suggest. She is awesome, and she really has a deep understanding of the twin flame dynamic. Um, so anybody on this journey can get a lot of also sense, and also a breather from listening to her. And so what I was saying is that like in videos like this, I can feel like I'm already up into where I am coming to conclusions, and I'm closing things off. I'm showing how they work, the dynamics of things. But when you're going through it, you're not above it. And so a lot of those videos are the more deep down into the ego. And ego, I mean like working through crying and working through it and getting frustrated and having all of my human attributes. And so, but there's a lot of diamonds in there, because as I'm going through it, I'm also alchemizing it and rising above it, and figuring it out. And you can see that I'm going from the um, total ego, poor me, in the rabbit hole, and pull myself out of it. And you can see the process that I'm doing, which a lot of us, I mean, we're doing the same processes. So it can help. Those of you who can connect to it can understand that process and see it as it's being done, and really understand also that you're not alone in this journey is so intense and so immense. It just takes over your whole being. You can see, if I'm getting on the internet, if you would have told me 10 years ago that I would make videos and put them up for anybody to see, I've said this over and over and over, I would have been like appalled, especially talking about a subject that is so iffy. And I live in a small community. It's really funny. And one of the issues that I had was my family. Is my family gonna watch? But I figure anybody that watches this, I mean, anybody that's gotten to minute 18:59 has is in it with me. So I guess that plane flew off. That ship sailed. So there's if you're here with me, you're here with me. You understand what I'm talking about. It's legitimate, and you're on this journey, on the either twin flame journey, spiritual awakening. You would have to be in order to be here. So that's how similar minds, how we combine, and how our power is added to power and rises. So back to subject. You have to give up the the stories. And when you give up the stories, because I can still see my mind trying to grasp at stories. Oh, but this, and then it comes back to no, that was closed. You can't tell yourself that story anymore. It's not accurate. Every single story that I tried to tell myself up until now has been completely closed down. There's no he, I can follow it for about a millisecond, and then it comes to a point where it's just no, you have to face it. It's like hitting rock bottom. You have to face it. So I am at a very detrimental part of my own personal journey, which is complete and utter surrender. There are no more stories. When the stories disappear, you come into the now. When the stories disappear, you come into your power. And the reason you come into your power is because it's not like this big high mighty thing up in the sky. You come into your power because now you're in the now. And where are you going to put your attention? You can't be in your mind on the stories, hurtled up in a ball on the couch anymore, or running away, because yesterday I did a whole day of running. It didn't work. You can't run away from it. So then you just learn to either the stories disappear, or when the stories come back in, you realize that there is nothing that you can do about it, and you just mush around. It's like look, look inside of the pain. It's like you mush around in the mud of the pain inside yourself, and there's nothing you can do but put your power forward. And what I've decided, what I'm doing, I have my work, which is my Amazon and things that I sell and stuff, and I've been barely able to keep that up the last couple of years even, and so I'm just doing what I need to do, because that's how I feed my family. And at the same time, I feel like these videos are being born out of me, and I'm opening up a Patreon. That's what I was saying, to share the more intimate ones. So if anybody wants to join me on Patreon, I feel like it's more of a community and more of a selective, anybody that comes to follow me there and get into the depths of it um, is definitely uh, in this and going through this. And on the YouTube, I'll still bring these videos and still bring the progress, but bring it a little bit more light and a little bit more, um, not so much into the personal and intimate story of it, more like the conclusions and uh, guidance that is more topical. Whereas in the Patreon, I go in depth and actually show the process as I go through it, which can also allow you to process it and go through it with me, because we recognize truth. So thank you for watching. I so much appreciate it. I'm going to get my son up and get him off to school. So sending you guys so much love. Thank you.